Hey, everyone. I'm going to wait until some people log in here and can see. I'm being shadow banned right now, so hopefully you guys are getting notifications here. Hey, everyone joining. Hey. I'm going to check to make sure y'all are getting the notification. Hey, everyone. So I am going to start because I know Susan is on a time crunch. Debbie, Briscoe, you know what? I'm going to tell you real quick. Jen, my admin, you crack us up. We love you in Telegram and everything else. So I'm glad you guys all got it. I have a special guest today. Normally, I do not do lives because I consider Saturday my Sabbath, but I felt like this was a really important topic to talk about. Today, I have with me Suzan Keltner. Suzan is a good friend of mine. Our kids actually went to school together at one point in time. I've known her for some time. And so about a year ago, I believe it was a year, over a year ago, I got a call from Suzan. She said to me, my brother just got murdered, and then she hung up the phone. And I tried to call her back, could not reach her. So went over to her house, and it was crazy. Her brother, Lee Keltner, had gotten murdered in Denver at a Patriot rally. The news was playing one thing, and all of the videos and everything that we saw showed something completely different. The man that shot Lee's name is Matt Doloff. He shot Lee at point blank gun range in the head. And watching this family see the news lie about what truly happened was horrific to see. Over the past year and a half, they have gone to court. They have seen and I'll let Suzan kind of tell the story. I'm just kind of telling it from my perspective, and then I'm going to let Suzan come on here and tell from her perspective of, well, she was in it, right? I'm just the friend that was there. But watching this family, seeing the news twist it, I had news stations reaching out to me left and right because I had set up a GoFundMe for the family, and these news stations were reaching out left and right. The family did not at that time talk to any news stations. Now it's time to get loud. Suzan's going to get loud because a few days ago, the district attorney, the corrupt district attorney in Denver, Colorado, BethMccann, who's the main district attorney, decided to drop the charges of Matt Doloff, who murdered Lee. And I want everyone to know, I personally saw the video from Suzan of what truly happened. This was murder because it was at a Patriot rally, and they are dropping the charges because it's political, not for any other reason. So I'm gonna bring Suzan in. Any haters, I'm just gonna ban you, block you. Suzan is a personal friend of mine. I love her dearly, and I will not tolerate any psychos or haters coming on here and hating on this woman when she's gone through hell and back. And not to even mention, one day I'm gonna have her come back and share her testimony of different things because she's got a radical story. But haters, go away. We're talking about a man's life. And here's the other thing, anyone that comes on here and asks me about a pastor or whatever and doesn't have the decency to respect the fact that a man lost his life and that this woman is his sister and family, I'm going to ban you too, because there needs to be some respect and there needs to be some courtesy of human life. I posted about her on Telegram and about this man losing his life. And instead of honoring the man who lost his life and respecting this family, I got asked, well, what about this pastor? What about that pastor? Not tolerating it. I don't care what you want to know. This is about Suzan. This is about her brother who was murdered. This is about Matt Doloff, a murderer, getting off. And this is about a corrupt district attorney that is dropping the charges because I'm going to say it. I'm pretty sure she probably got paid off. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing because that's how corrupt Colorado and the district attorneys are. So I am going to bring in Suzan, my dear friend. I love her to death. Hey, Suzan.
Hi.
Okay, thank you for coming on here. And I just, I love and adore you so much. I mean, we've known each other for a long time. Our kids have known each other for a long time. So, I mean, just tell us like kind of what happened with Lee and, go from there. I'll ask you questions.
Well, like you said, he was down at the Patriot Muster October 20th, 2020. Next to them was a BLM soup kitchen. There was a lot of police activity, a lot of people walking all over, walking around. It's definitely in the center point of Colorado, right in front of the Capitol. And they were all leaving. As they were leaving, they were probably there at the very end of the rally itself. They were one of the last to leave. They had a man, we'll call him Elliot, it's his last name, and Jeremiah Elliott, start harassing my nephew. My
Lee's
nephew
son.
does have a criminal background. He had just actually gotten out of prison in September of that year. So you could see why my brother was pretty protective over him. Still young, still definitely young at heart. And, well, they started an argument with my nephew, CJ. And because of Papa Bear, he's going to stand up and protect his son. He stood in. At that time, Lee had his mace. There was a lot of people yelling and screaming and telling this Elliott kid to grow up. And he has been known to start fights at other rallies and at other events. I have seen videos of this. Lee told him to, he was just trying to, I don't even know what he was trying to do. But then he looked over and he saw Newman, the producer of 9 News, and there next to him was his unmarked security guard, Matthew Doloff. Lee told him to get the effing cameras out of his face. As he was approaching him, Doloff, in pictures, it definitely appears that he is reaching into my brother's vest, is where his gun was at. In the whole time, in all the video, you'll see that Lee had his hands up and very visible, never once reached for his gun through this whole ordeal. Well, Lee slapped him, open-handed. He had backed up anywhere between 12 to 15 feet.
Lee's backed up.
Yes. In that time frame, Doloff had pulled out his weapon, his gun, out of his pant line and had the gun pointing directly at my brother's head, at which time my son speaks OF. In a matter of milliseconds, the mace popped off, and the mace did pop off first, but we're talking like instantaneously. So did the gun. In the famous pictures they have of Lee being shot, 5 inches above the weapon is a shell casing. So Lee had already been shot in that time. They weren't able to save him. He was shot between the eyes. During the investigation, the first detective showed up, and he had claimed that Lee had a cell phone in his left-hand vest pocket, which he did. Criminal investigation showed up. The very first lady that came in approached the clothing and was analyzing the scene and marking down what she sees and what's there. She assumed that these were a pair of pants, when in actuality the pile of clothing was Lee's shirt and vest. There was a belt next to them. And that's why she assumed. Well, there was getting ready to be a shift change. In that duration of the shift change, the next criminal investigators claimed that this was also pants instead of checking to see if it was a vest and shirt, which it was.
And a bulletproof vest?
No.
No, just a vest.
He was a biker. So he had a leather vest that they had.
Yep.
And through the motions and everything, I mean, it pretty much proved that there was definitely problems in the investigation. They did not find out that this mistake had happened until this past July. I think it was July. But it shows that nobody tampered with evidence. That's a good thing. But because of this mistake, it has led the defense believe that there was 2 cell phones. Throughout these accusations, they were claiming my brother was part of Sons of Silence. They were saying the slap of the face, how he hit him so hard, that bikers use those rings as brass knuckles. My brother was a Western guy. He made cowboy hats. He was a biker. Most of those rings were my dead father's, my biological father's rings. Those were just something he wore. So they were itching through motions this whole time. The DA's office from day one said we weren't going to do first-degree murder. We have a slam dunk for second degree. We had faith in them. I attended all through COVID. I attended all meetings on the computer. Once we were able to go out, the only hearing I missed was the day my grandson was born. And you could tell the DA was fishing for anything they could. They don't have any other reason. So when they called us on last Thursday, I believed that they were going to plea bargain, do something, just because it's so chaotic. Well, I got there. I was all by myself. I had nobody else with me. And the first thing one of the DAs told me was, this is not going to be an easy conversation. Then he looked at me again, and his next sentence was, we were dropping all charges. For the 2 hours I was there, pleading and begging that there's a crime committed here, they wouldn't even let the jury take it to trial. Let a jury decide. Let the members of his peers decide. But instead, the DA were adamant that they weren't going to take the time.
And this case has been going on for, over a year and a half. Yeah. And so my question is, what happened in a year and a half that all of a sudden this corrupt district attorney is just going to say, no, I'm not going to file these charges. I'm going to drop these charges, they haven't officially dropped them, right? They're going to drop them at a court date.
Our court date is March 21st. And I believe it's either 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon.
In the Denver courthouse? Listen, anybody watching this, if you're in Colorado, please go show up and protest outside this courtroom peacefully. Obviously, don't cause any harm to anyone, but this is crazy. It's crazy.
I want help. I want to fight this because there was crimes, and it wasn't just one. It was multiple crimes committed by this man. And he has not been charged with one thing. He is getting off free.
Now, Matt Doloff, he was working for 9 News. Tell us about that and his license and all of that. Tell us about that, because that's a very pertinent part of this story.
So I'm not quite sure what the other company was called.
Pinkerton?
Well, there was Pinkerton, and there was another security company underneath them that he was hired as well with. So 9 News with riots, whatever, hired security guards throughout their protests, riots, whatever. And Matthew Doloff was one of them. In this duration, after this incident happened, they found out there was multiple incidences that they had hired somebody that was not licensed in the city and county of Denver. So this other smaller security company went to court, and they lost their license for 5 years in the city and county of Denver. Then you have Pinkerton. Pinkerton thought they were bigger than everybody else, so they fought it. Well, Denver slapped them with another 5 years. That's a big thing for Pinkerton. You figure that's going to be elections, it's going to be concerts, it's going to be, you name it, events down in Denver. So they lost a good amount down here in Denver too. But Doloff was not licensed to even be a security guard in the city and county of Denver.
And do we know his gun? Was his gun registered? Like what, like, was his gun even Pinkerton's or 9 News? Was it Matt's? And is this guy going to continue? They're dropping charges, so he just can continue and walk around. Like, I'm all about 2A, but not when you murder someone.
Right. And from what I'm gathering, I'm not as knowledgeable for weapons, that I was told it was not a typical security guard gun. It was something that you wouldn't be using for security. I've talked with police officers. I've got a lot of police officer friends, and they've told me that their job as a security officer is to remove whoever they're securing away from bad things from happening. Well, he didn't remove him. He just caused more harm.
Now, let's talk about your nephew was there, Lee's son, and Lee was your nephew was standing there when Lee got shot. Is that correct?
Yes. In the videos, you can hear him screaming.
And and you had mentioned like he had gotten out of prison. I think that this is a huge part of this story, because this is how they go after and target individuals. To me, I believe that Lee was targeted. I believe Suzan's family was targeted. Lee was murdered. And now her nephew, yes, he got out of prison, but he had just seen his dad get shot. And now they're charging him with another crime. Correct? Was it shortly after this, wasn't it? Shortly after Lee's murder.
After Lee was murdered, CJ began to spiral out of control. He started back on the drugs and thug life, and it is what it is. Stealing cars, meth. The weekend of the King Super shooting in Boulder, him and a buddy were up in Clear Creek County, and I don't know the gist of the story, but a car got stuck in the snow, something. I'm not quite sure exactly. They were on a property. The guy had a ring. He wasn't on property, so he wasn't on the scene. Called the police. The police came. Somewhere in all this, they got out of the car with guns, I'm assuming. CJ's buddy was shot and killed 13 times. CJ did get away, but K-9 found him about 4 hours later. And he's to be sentenced here, I want to say, may even be next week on Monday, March 15th, up in Clear Creek County.
So this is our justice system, guys. This child, I mean, yes, he's an adult, but he's still a child, saw his father get shot, spiraled, over stealing a car. A murderer is getting off. His son steals a car allegedly, which, you know, I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he was just there. Then sees his friend get shot. Like, this kid does not need to go sit in prison for 15 years. Lee's son, he needs to have a rehab and therapy. This is our justice system, guys. Lee gets murdered, and now his son is going to go to prison, and a murderer is walking free. This is an issue. This is a huge issue. This is where our justice. This is Colorado for you. I mean, it's crazy.
And they told me the reason they're dropping the charges is the way that our Colorado laws are written.
That you get away with murder?
Something with the self-defense. So they're claiming that the pepper spray can cause bodily injury.
But
and they're also claiming that Lee was heavily armed with knives when Lee had no knife on him. I don't care who had it around him, who was around him. Lee did not have it. And it didn't matter to the DA's office to what we said. Whether he had bear mace, he never reached for his gun. He was very visibly, he took his training very dear. He took it to the book. He never reached for his gun. He never threatened him that he was going to kill him. CJ has a phone up in Clear Creek County, and he actually has video of the antagonizer and Doloff and Newman walking up on them, and they started the fight with them. We believe Lee was targeted.
Absolutely.
They claim they didn't know him, but they claim he was. I mean, he was definitely targeted, and you don't get paid unless you get a story.
And just right. And here's the thing I want everyone to know, and we'll talk about this here right now, is a lot of the people that were at this rally are friends of mine. When I was in Colorado, we were pissed about what was going on with the scamdemic, and we didn't care if we got arrested in the park taking our kids with everything that was going on. And there is a large group, I'm not going to name the group because I don't want them to be targeted, that showed up to these rallies because Antifa and BLM was threatening them. At this particular rally, BLM, there was a flyer circulating. On that flyer, they said it was like a soup something. They were soup kitchen. They were throwing cans of soup at the people at this rally. Okay. Now, Lee was strapped with a gun. Okay. Oh my gosh, I want my shirt. I'm so pissed right now for you. And let's talk about the tattoo that this guy has. And here's the thing. Lee could have easily pulled his gun on this guy. He didn't. The video clearly shows Lee pulling mace out. Matt Doloff tried to grab for Lee's gun. Like the people with Lee were very trained military wise, and they weren't military, but they were trained by ex-military professionals to go and protect the people that were going to these rallies. So Lee was part of that group of us striving to change. This is what I was going to talk about. Let's talk about the tattoo.
I'm getting ready to pull a picture of the tattoo.
Yep. And the district attorney, all of my friends, and I'm going to have one on a guest. I texted him with him last night. He's in Alaska, but I'm going to have him on. He went with Suzan. I'm not going to say his name, but until he's on, but he claimed
that they had not. He told me that they had not questioned him. So Thursday, when I was in the DA's office, I mentioned that, and they basically point blank lied to me and said that they had questioned all kinds of people, and I don't believe they had.
No, and that's what they have not questioned any of these people that were at the rally for the on the Patriot side. They didn't question not one of them, because I reached out to every single one that I knew was there, and every single one of them, okay, and this is in the double digits, every single one of them told me that the district attorney never reached out to them and never subpoenaed them. But tell us about that, Suzan, because they told you're saying that they had. So this is Matt Doloff's tattoo. Does anyone know what that tattoo stands for? Anybody? I'll tell you. It's an Antifa. You got a text message. It's an Antifa tattoo. So Matt Doloff was there representing 9 News under Pinkerton security with an Antifa tattoo. So 2 things. The Antifa and the district attorney never questioned anybody. I mean, that, did you ask the district attorney or tell, like, say, hey, I've talked to these people and you haven't talked to them? And what was their response to that?
They said that they couldn't remember. They didn't remember, is what they told me.
I don't remember your.
Well, there was a day that this person we're talking about that you wanted, that's in Alaska, he showed up with me to court.
Yeah.
And they kicked him out of the room.
Right. Because they said he was a witness, but they never talked to him and never subpoenaed him ever. Never. What's there is so much fishiness when it comes to this murder in this case. And there's two questions here. I'm gonna respond to them. One says, I'd call the DA and pressure them to take it to trial. And someone asked, what can we do outside of Colorado, or outside of Colorado if you live there? I am going to post the email of the district attorney and the phone number. We need to blow up their spot. And when I meet by that is emailing, calling every single day by hundreds. So this case goes to trial and they do not drop the charges, because we, the people, need to put pressure on
What
them.
happened to guilty until proven innocent? Where's our day in court?
Yeah.
We're being robbed of that.
You mean
throughout this process too, I had spoke with the DAs off our two DAs that were in with us, his case up there, to let them kind of know his his state of mind. And they never once called.
So they never called Lee's son. They're prosecuting Lee's son. Lee is sitting is murdered and dead. His family, Suzan and his wife and his kids and her parent, all of them lost Lee. Like this is targeting this family. Lee obviously, and the group that Lee was with was targeted. That's my opinion in it. I mean, how's your family doing? I mean, I know I talked to you and we've talked throughout the case and every time you've gone to court, but I mean, seriously, how are you doing and how is your family doing?
Well, let's just start out with my family. My parents are out of state and they're elderly, and my mother's kind of disabled in a way. She's had a lot of surgeries, so she doesn't get around very well. And then my father is very disabled. He just came down with a disease that mimics a stroke. This past December, they finally put a feeding tube in him. He's not stable. So if there was even a court case, it was a strong, how are we going to get them to be able to be a part of this trial without them being present? And there for the longest time, these last 4 or 5 months, they haven't even been able to watch via webcam. They closed it and wouldn't allow them to watch. So everything that they got was through myself. I had the support of his youngest son, Jonathan. I had the support of my oldest son. And that's basically all I had. My brother's wife and I are estranged, so it doesn't go well. I'm not too worried. We just don't get along. So, but I get along with all the rest of his wives. So,
well, I mean, what do you think changed? I mean, because the district attorney was going to go to trial and everything, and then all of a sudden it was like they flipped on a dime. Like, what do you think changed? Did you ask them when you were in there?
I did. Well, in January, we had the final motions hearing.
Yep, I remember that.
And the judge, there was so much that the defense was going back and forth with testimony that the judge ruled that he would make a decision by the end of January. Well, I didn't hear anything. So I messaged our victim's advocate and I said, well, whatever happened? And his comment basically was that it was on our side, but it could still go to their side. Basically what they wanted to do was bring up Lee's past. And it's like, if they didn't know him, I don't even know what to say. They didn't know him, but they did target him. So they knew him.
Oh, I'll say it. I'll say it for you. If you don't want to say it, I'll say it because I don't care. Like they're saying that they didn't know Lee, yet the district attorney and the other side, the criminal defense, want to bring up Lee's past, like making it acceptable to murder someone. So how do you not know Lee when you're bringing up his past? You surely do know him. And this is another part of population control, everyone, here, of killing people. I mean, seriously, this is asinine to me. The fact that his son is sitting in a jail cell over a stolen car and they want to put him in prison for 15 years, and Lee died, but this murderer, Matt Doloff, got off. And just so everyone knows, when I'm done with this, I'm going to put the district attorney's name, phone number. I'm going to put Matt Doloff's picture because everyone should know who Matt Doloff is, period. His picture should be circulating around the internet and everyone should know that he's a murderer and murdered Lee. I'll say it.
And I have a lot of friends that come across him in Elizabeth.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
Really?
It's crazy to me. I mean, and I can only imagine what your family's going through and your parents, because, they're elderly and they lost their son. No parent should have to lose their child before, you know what I mean? It's just, even though things happen, we get that, but this was just flat out murder. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you think that we can do to help you and your family? Like what?
Like I said, I'm pretty much by myself trying to figure this out. And I mean, I'd like to raise some money so we can get a lawyer and go after the county because they did not give us our day in court. I'd love to do a civil lawsuit between Pinkerton, 9 News, Doloff, City and County of Denver.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I absolutely think you should raise the money to get it. If there's any attorneys watching that want to take this on a contingency, I mean, I think this is a huge case. I think every single one of them should be sued personally and as a corporation, because this is just, it's crazy to me. I know Suzan and I have been like, this is her brother, but everyone that's talked to her, and you can kind of tell us a little bit about that, has just been shocked about this news. Tell us about that, like the reactions that you're getting from the ones of us that love you, and just strangers.
They're blown away. They don't understand why somebody can pointly just kill somebody, whether it's first degree, second degree, manslaughter, involuntary, whatever, with no criminal charges whatsoever, when there's so many criminal issues in this case. Right. Another thing that's really bothersome is that I was getting calls from people. I had no idea it was on the news already. The news had put it all out before the family was able to get the rest of our family to know what it was going on. So everybody already knew before I could get through with the rest of my family.
So the district attorney gave him a statement before you even, because just so everyone knows, Suzan was on the Stephen Tubbs show. Was it yesterday? Thursday. So, and she hadn't talked to anybody. So the news is already out there prior to her talking to Stephen Tubbs, prior to her doing this interview. This obviously 9 News, most likely, because here's the thing, they would get more money out of these people on a civil suit, because civil suits are coming, but they wanted criminal to go first. So if Matt Doloff got convicted in a jury guilty, then that lawsuit's even larger because now a jury has convicted him. So the fact what the district attorney leaked to 9 News and the different news stations, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, I barely got back on the side of town and I was getting phone calls and I didn't even know how anybody knew. I was floored.
That's crazy. So the district attorney, like, hey, let's make a statement. That's crazy to me. So crazy.
So I guess because I'm the only one in, and his son wasn't even at that meeting. So until he woke up, he didn't know. And I'm sure he probably woke up to his phone blowing up with other people making comments.
Right. And you guys don't, no. And you guys don't have any interest to talk to the news. I mean, because when this happened, I mean, I remember sitting in your house and you guys showing me the real video and they were twisting everything that happened. I mean, do you have any desire to talk to the lamestream media?
Not really. I technically only wanted to talk with Stefan and you, and come to find out that Stefan let Fox take part of my interview.
Why did
So I was shocked. I was getting calls the next day, that morning, of people that are close friends of Lee's that were calling me and saying, "Hey, did you know you're on Fox News?" And I said, "No, had no idea."
God, I mean, this is a shit show. I mean,
Even now, I just had someone walk in here and say, "I heard you on the news. I heard you on the news. I saw you on the news." I mean, saw me because it wasn't personal, like face to face, like you and I are doing.
Yeah. So they just grabbed your picture somewhere.
I don't think there was even a picture. It was just strictly my voice talking to Stefan.
So they made it seem like you were talking to the news station, but you were actually doing the interview with Stefan. Mm-hmm. Again, guys, this is our media. This is lamestream.
And this is what Lee did not like. Lee did not like our media. He did not like the way that the media is segregating our world. They're tearing us apart. The antagonizer left saying, "Hey, another racist shot in the face."
Let's talk about that.
Black.
Well, let's talk about that because that's a good point. So on the news when this all happened, they all called Lee a racist. Suzan, I'm going to let you address that because it's comical, and here's why. Go ahead.
My oldest son is black.
Who Lee loved.
Yes, my son's named after Lee.
Yeah.
And both my boys are with black women. My oldest son has a black son. His family's black. Half of it's black. I mean, he was best friends in the Navy with a black guy, in Chicago. They were best friends. Lee was one of those people that was friends with everybody. We grew up in Denver. We were friends with Mexicans. I mean, we were pretty much the only white people at that time. We were integrated through Mayor Pena. Race has never, ever been an issue in our lives. We've always accepted people. We've cared about people, give people the shirt off our back. We're both veterans. Half my platoon was black. I'm used to it. It's just a way of life, which the way our world needs to be now, and it's not. But the media separates us, makes it an issue, and it shouldn't be.
No. And that's the thing, is they're creating the narrative that they want. And, I've been around Suzan's family. I've been around her sons. I haven't met her grandbaby yet. Can't wait to go hold that baby. I'm going to come to Colorado just to hold her grandbaby. But they've never said, "Oh, this is my white son," or "This is my black son," or "This is my black grandbaby." It is, "This is my son," and "This is my grandbaby." And for Lee, "This is my nephew," and this is my family. This is the world we need to live in, where we don't see color. We can learn a lot from Suzan because that is where they wanted to create something that Lee wasn't. And I don't give a crap if he had a criminal past or not. I know for a fact that Lee was doing the right thing, making hats. People loved him, like Suzan said. And so to create this narrative, to make it okay to murder someone, is where the problem.
Lee was also an ordained minister.
I don't know if that's a good thing now. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
He married a lot of people.
See, he was just a good guy. So the injustice of this is like crazy to me, because you guys are just a family. I mean, this is what they're doing to the everyday common family, is they're creating chaos on like another level. I mean, and that's what they're doing right now to your family and to Lee's family.
But I want to know, when did murder become political? What does it matter?
Yeah.
It's not a political thing. And his private investigator, Dolaw's private investigator, called me, and the first question was, "What is Lee's political beliefs?" It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He pointed a gun at his head, not self-defense. He pointed it at his face and
Yeah.
shot. He didn't shoot him in the leg. He didn't shoot him in the hand. He shot him in the face.
Between the eyes.
Point blank. Yes.
Wow. I mean, I'm with you. When did murder become political? I mean, that should be the headline on this story everywhere, because that's the truth. When did it become political and it's okay to murder someone and get off, but you steal a car and you sit in jail for 15 years? There's no justice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of people that get away with so much. But
Yeah.
I've never, ever heard not one charge being brought against somebody that murdered somebody, and so much proof that he did it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's red-handed. Cameras on top of buildings, cameras and reporters. I mean, even did so much of Newman's video.
Right. Well, and Lee could have easily pulled his weapon, and he didn't. He could have easily. Now, was Lee not wearing, because I do know that that group was wearing bulletproof vests. I know he had his biker vest. Was he not wearing a bulletproof vest that day?
No.
Okay.
He, I don't think he has one, to be totally honest. You know, he had this is his normal. He would wear a t-shirt with the sleeves cut off. It's his biker wear, his sleeveless vest, leather vest, and blue jeans. And I don't even know. I think he had a hat on. Yeah, I think he had a hat on. But
wow,
it's just unexplainable. There's no answer, or any answer that the DA's office could give me, besides the fact that, oh, well, they threatened. And there were many articles saying that they were heavily armed with knives. It doesn't matter if they were. Lee was not.
no.
How are they using somebody else's words? How are they using what everybody else had against Lee? Lee's the one that got murdered.
Right. Right. And Lee never pulled his gun. He never pulled a knife. He pulled mace. Okay, mace. I want to know if BethMccann had the balls to sit in that room and tell you, or she had her little minions do it.
No.
Wow.
We had 2 DA, which was working the case, Zach McCabe and Austin, can't think of what his last name is. And we had our victim's advocate, Jason Anderson, and there was a private investigator inside the room. And I don't know if they just do that when you're in meetings there to make sure that there's order and we're not going to go ballistic. I don't know. But it seemed like every time I've gone down to that office, there's been a reason that there's been a different person there. Like some kind of, guy with a badge. Private investigators, what they called them.
Like you're going to do something to them. Like they need to be protected. And just so you know, if you ever meet Suzan, she's like the nicest, loveliest person. And so the fact that I found that ridiculous.
High school friends won't say that.
I mean, I wouldn't want to get in a fight with her, but I'm just.
I was in the Army. I've got hand-to-hand combat.
I just find it crazy and ridiculous.
I deliver DoorDash and I'm not afraid. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, if you guys, I don't want to give anyone your location actually, so never mind. I was going to talk about your.
I'm all over the place, to be totally honest.
Yeah. Well, before we go, I mean, is there anything you want everyone to know, or just?
I want to see if we can get a lawyer. If we can put not necessarily GoFundMe. There was something else you mentioned.
Give, send, go. No one wants to donate to GoFundMe.
We've been struggling. It's taken a lot out of me, I'm self-employed. I don't get any benefits, any time off work. I don't get any of that. I'm working my tail off, and now I'm going to really work my tail off to stand up, because I want some form of justice for Lee. Something. There has to be something. Whether we go and we protest in front of the DA's office, in front of the courthouse, whatever we have to do. We have to stand strong because there's no justice in this, the way they're going for it. They just want this man to walk free, and he doesn't deserve to walk free. There's got to be something that he can be charged with.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking everyone to share this video. I am going to upload it to YouTube and Rumble. Like it, share it. And, you know, if there are any attorneys at all, and Lee Keltner, I mean, know his name, say his name. I mean, we the people have to stand up and make the people that work for us accountable. And murder is never okay. I mean, this was murder, and a murderer is going to walk free. Matt Doloff, the murderer, is going to walk free. And the lamestream media, I guarantee you, I don't know this for a fact, but I guarantee you BethMccann was paid off somehow, whether it was for a favor or whatever, but she is corrupt as corrupt can be as district attorneys. Go look at my post right below this. You can see all of the disgusting things that BethMccann did. And let's rally around Suzan and her family, because, and when she sets up the Give, Send, Go, I will post it, share it. Go share this video. Like I said, I'll post it on Telegram. I will post on Telegram, YouTube, Rumble. And Suzan, I mean, you know, I love you. I mean, I wish that this past year I could have gone to the court cases with you. But I mean, shoot, I'm tempted to go to Colorado and protest coming up. That was on the 21st, right? You said the 21st of March.
And remember, Lee Keltner's life did matter.
Yeah. Lee Keltner's life mattered. I mean, it's crazy. And if, you know, people can start protesting, we can figure out where her nephew is and protesting that too. Because the fact that they were going to put this child when he needs some serious, maybe a drug rehab and some mental health help for seeing his dad be shot and murdered, and then his friend shot and murdered. So
people murdered within a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, well, Suzan, you know, I love you to death. I adore you. I stand behind you. I will continue to scream Lee's names from the rooftops. And if anyone knows an attorney or anything else, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with Suzan. I'm not going to put her personal details on here, but you can reach me at Humanitysvoice at protonmail.com. And I will, you know, if I know that you're legit and not some psycho, I will connect you with Suzan.
There's a lot of them out there.
Right. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, share this video. I'm so shadow banned right now, but I'll post it on all my other social sites. Love you guys.
Thank you for everybody's support.
Yeah. Let's say it together. Lee's life mattered. Come on. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Lee's life mattered.